Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure that we have all been watching the news or at least heard about what is currently going on in the world. I'm talking about the coronavirus. This is the type of virus that spreads person to person through close contact. Viral droplets are released through the air when a person coughs or sneezes. COVID-19 symptoms include cough, fever, shortness of breath, difficulty breathing, muscle, body ache, sore throat, new loss of taste or smell, diarrhea, headache, fatigue, nausea, vomiting, congestion, runny nose, everything. Sounds fun, right? COVID-19 can also be very severe. In some cases, have caused death. There are currently over 14 million cases of COVID since this pandemic started, with almost 300,000 deaths. Is there a way that we can prevent this from getting even larger? Since this pandemic started, I've been monitoring the news and keeping updated with the statistics, and also through my research, I have learned much more about the severity of this disease. I'm going to be speaking about one of the main and easiest ways to protect yourself, and that is social distancing. It may seem trivial at the time, but it may save your life or someone else's. So this right here is a chart of the countries that are most affected by COVID, and you can see that the United States is currently at the top of that list, and that is because as a nation, we have been pretty lax about our protocol and how we handle this disease, and we will be seeing much more of that. So, many people who contract COVID may not show symptoms. However, they can still spread it to someone who is at risk. In this case, people who do not show symptoms are called asymptomatic. Studies show that at least 40 to 50% of people who test positive for COVID-19 have no symptoms at all. But medical experts still say that the asymptomatic spread is contributing to the spikes that we saw this fall and continue to see throughout the holiday season. Social distancing, however, can help slow the spread of COVID-19. And again, this is some more symptoms of COVID. Obviously, it can vary from person to person since a lot of people are asymptomatic, but this is some things that you may experience. New research from MD Alderson shows that social distancing does work. The study that these researchers conducted found that putting social distancing policies into practice in the US and internationally corresponded with reductions. These policies prevented more than 1.5 million cases in only 2 weeks. The reason this works is because physically distancing yourself from others decreases the mobility and the flow of the viral droplets that causes the COVID-19 spread. Another important fact to mention is that cancer patients are at a higher risk for the severities of COVID-19. So even if you may not feel sick or you're extremely healthy, someone else will experience disease so much differently than you will. Cancer treatments weaken your immune system, which makes you immunocompromised, and that will increase the severity of this disease. Key times to practice social distancing. Inside your home, when maybe one of your roommates goes out to 5 points and comes home with COVID, it's important to stay away from them at least 6 feet at all times. And outside your home, 6 feet away from people when you can. And of course, mask wearing is imperative. By practicing this, you are aiding in decreasing the case amount and helping yourself and family stay safe and healthy. The guidelines are relatively easy to follow, as I mentioned before. Just maintain a 6 feet distance between yourself and others and stay away from people who may have contracted the disease already. Another experiment by the CDC was conducted analyzing the effect of different age groups practicing social distancing. The results suggest that since the epidemic started, the curve and interventions started later flatten the epidemic curve, which is a lot of big words. But in shorter words, social distancing does work in flattening the curve. While these were in place, most new cases, hospitalizations, and deaths were averted. However, when the interventions ended, the epidemic rebounded, and we saw the big spike that happened not too long ago. They also compared different age groups, and when they did the age group for less than 6 years of age in children, it resulted in 45% fewer cases than the baseline at the epidemic peak. Also, one important fact, social media has currently spiked in new users and user time, and usually there's a stigma around social media is bad. However, it can help maintain a higher morale during this time. The increase of social media and video chatting services, this is important keeping in contact with others in a safe manner during this pandemic. And you can see this is from March through May, pretty much when the pandemic started. The percent of people using social media spiked, which is great in this time. Chat online, surfing on the web, it's all good. Okay, so yeah, okay, so this is 46 through 51% of US adults were currently using social media since the outbreak began. Imagine going out for a harmless weekend of partying. I know I love 5 Points, and I'm sure all of my peers do as well, but you come home with COVID. Maybe you go home for the holidays. I know a lot of people are back home now. You infect someone in your household. Maybe they're at risk. I know some people in my family have cancer and they are at risk. How would that make you feel, and how could you prevented this? The simple answer is by following these guidelines. And it's important to remember that total isolation will not last forever. And it's not even total isolation. You can still see people, but please maintain that. Social distancing, no hugging, I guess. No hugging, kissing on the cheek. I know it's a southern thing to hug and shake people's hands, but until this pandemic is over, I would just refrain from that. With the depression that comes with a pandemic, we may want to surround ourselves with our friends and our family. However, that may do more harm than good, and the best way to protect yourself is to distance. So, it is important to develop a plan on how to practice social distancing when it is possible. Make use of masks, and when it's paired with social distancing, is the most effective in slowing the spread. However, when it is not effective, or when it's not possible to social distance, such as like a busy grocery store or something of the sorts, always wear a face covering. So remember these important facts next time you go out. Protect yourself, your family, and this country, this world, and maybe we'll get back to holding hands over a beach sunset soon. Thank you.